Hello everyone, welcome back to Beauty in the Garden. I am T. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Today I'm going to be planting up a small crop in the garden, and it's not much, but I want to go ahead and get this planted today. They grow pretty fast, so I hope you guys is going to enjoy. Welcome back to Beauty in the Garden. I am T. Today I'm going to show you guys a simple way of planting out your green beans. So this bed right here, from here to about here, I'm going to be planting up green beans. I'm going to be planting up what we call a bush variety of green beans. I do have my green beans right here. I have a good bit of green beans. I'm only going to be planting up a very few. I'm going to put 2 per hole. Now the thing about planting up your beans, a lot of times I hear that you don't need to fertilize your green beans. I do recommend that you do fertilize your green beans or any bean whatsoever. Inside the green beans, and then you hear about the fact that green beans produce their own nitrogen. They do produce nitrogen, but they only produce nitrogen almost at the end phases of its life. So once that life cycle ends, then you guys, it starts to produce the nitrogen and pushing all of that into that soil. Okay, so that is, I guess, kind of a myth when it comes down to planting your green beans, that you do not need to fertilize them. I do recommend that you do fertilize your green beans. So what I do to fertilize anything that I do plant out, I try my best to get my hands on compost. Right here, you guys can see it's a different color. I did went ahead and put down a thin layer of humus and manure. That is basically food and manure combined as it decays, and that is what this is right here. So I only have roughly about an inch layer of compost that is layered on top of this bed. Now you can put in, you guys, a granulate. Granulates are good too. I kind of want to keep it kind of simple. Anytime I get my hands on a busted bag of compost, you guys, most likely I'm going to go ahead and just layer around the plant or the bed itself, so that I always continue to feed my soil. If you start to see your soil getting really dull or really ashy looking, then most likely you need to feed your soil with compost, or guys, or cover your beds, because sometimes what happens is if you don't have anything in your beds, you guys, the soil gets depleted from the sun. So keep that in mind when coming down to planting up your garden beds. So what I'm going to do first thing up is, you guys, I have told you guys I put down just like an inch of compost. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to make a hole, and the hole, you guys, is, let me show you how you measure out your hole, because sometimes if you plant your seeds a little bit too deep, then what happens is it won't come up. So here is your seed. You guys can see the seed here. Let me get a good glimpse so you guys can see. This is the seed. So I'm gonna double this size for this seed. All right, for this side of a seed, okay? Down to smaller seeds, most likely just broadcasting it and just covering it with a little bit thin layer of vermiculite, or just watering it in, you guys, is enough. So pay attention to the size of your seed. These can plant very deep compared to any other seed. These are pretty nice size seeds, okay? So keep that in mind. By the size of a Tic Tac or a little bit bigger. So just keep that in mind when it comes down to planting up your seeds. I'm going to be direct sowing my seeds. I am going to literally go in and just kind of just take my shovel here, and I'm just going to make a little indentation in the soil. Now I am going to have them at least a foot apart. I think that is good enough. I don't want too many in the bed. I want to be able to get around and harvest and make sure that I have weed control in my garden beds, because when I keep down the weeds, I don't be feeding them. So I like to try to make sure that I keep things a little bit neat and organized in my garden so that I can maintain it properly. When I don't do that, sometimes it can get out of control and weeds start to take over. So keep that in mind when you are out in your garden. Space things, you don't have to space things according to your package, but space things accordingly. When it comes down to the packaging, sometimes they can base it upon what we call industry planting, and that is not the case when you're home growing. You can really pack a lot more in your beds, but just keep in mind to give things proper spacing and as well making sure that things are compatible. So this year I'm quite late, you guys, out in the garden. I have been super busy. I've been trying to get out here and just really just knock it out, but I still wanted to be able to give you guys content that will help you along your journey, because when it comes down to gardening, it can be very difficult sometimes when you're overthinking it. So I try to make sure that my content is quite simple, that can kind of help you out and kind of get you out there in that garden and get it done. So that's why I try to keep it as simple as possible. I'm basically making about a 1/4 of an inch hole, and I'm going to be popping in 2 seeds per hole, just in case some of the seeds are dormant. Two, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. I think that's all I'm going to do. I'm going to do 12 holes. Yeah, I'm just going to do 12 holes. I got my seeds here. I'm literally going to toss them, you guys. That's literally going to toss 2 seeds per hole. I'm just going to go ahead and cover them. Push, just a slight push. Not too much, just a slight push. All right, so one more thing that I do want to talk to you guys about is if you have squirrels, I do recommend that you put down some sort of wire, and I do recommend some sort of mesh or chicken wire, not anything like big fencing, just literally something that has small holes. I do recommend mesh more than chicken wire. The mesh has these very small holes, so if you're playing up any bulbs or any type of nut or seed like this, I do recommend that you put something down just in case you have squirrel issues. That will help you out a lot. And if you have issues with, I would say, groundhogs or things like that, put the mesh under your beds when you first even start your beds, and that's going to help out tremendously without things coming in and taking your seeds or even digging them up. So keep that in mind as well when getting your garden beds ready. I don't have that problem quite just yet, you guys, but if I did have that problem, that is something that I do recommend that you do to avoid things taking your seeds or even your plants. So keep that in mind. I am going to just give me some rainwater. I'm not going to fertilize my beds yet. I'm just going to literally go ahead and water them in with some rainwater, and that is going to do everything I need for now. And I'm going to water the whole entire bed and not just where the seeds are. All right, you guys, I had just went ahead and planted up my green beans, and as well, if you guys are interested in the cart and the watering can, I will put this, you guys, along the screen and as well in the description box. But all in all, you guys, planting up green beans or planting up any bean is one of the most easiest things to do. They germinate super duper fast. I would expect these beans to come up in 3 to 5 days. And you guys, we're going to be off to the race, and I'm going to love to harvest these. I do have another variety of beans that I got to get planted, and that is the yard-long bean. I do have plans to plant that along a trellis, so that will be my next one because I really like those, and they grow wonderfully. They grow wonderfully, so I definitely will always plant those just to keep that in mind. But all in all, a bush variety for a small space garden that will give you a great deal of green beans. I promise you, you cannot not get a great harvest. Green beans is one of those things that they really put on some beans, okay? If you ever grew one before, y'all know green beans or any bean plant, they really get loaded. So, all right, you guys, this is the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed a quick tutorial on how to go about planting your green beans and some ways to protect your garden throughout your journey. So we are at the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoy, and like I always tell you guys, there's beauty in everyone's garden, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye, you guys. Happy gardening.